Hey everybody, my name is Nate Sutton, and I'll be presenting to you the Athlete Case Study Profile 3, which is Mr. Johnny Jones. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about that today. So, to start, we're going to be talking about the athlete summary, just everything about Mr. Johnny Jones, giving you a quick rundown, talking about some goals and some questions I was going to ask and get some important information from. Next will be the nutrition recommendations, some sample meal plan, exercise recommendations, and then some athlete considerations and needs. I'll be filling in some important information throughout the thing as well, throughout the presentation, and I'm looking forward to getting started with the athlete summary. Awesome. So to tell you a little bit about Mr. Johnny Jones, his pronouns are he, him, and his. He is a 26-year-old male, 6'4", 198 pounds. Calculated his ideal body weight and is looking about 202 pounds to 205 pounds. 21% body fat, and he is 24 BMI. So what this tells us is he's on the edge of being close to overweight and has a little bit of a higher body fat percentage. I think that it's going to be super easy to turn around. He's a super active lifestyle, and he already eats very good. I think if we work with eating a little bit cleaner and have a consistent exercise and diet, I think we can improve some skeletal muscle mass and keep him right around that range. Muscle mass is going to be way a lot more than fat, so I think if we increase that muscle mass percentage, that skeletal muscle mass, I think when we decrease that body fat, it's going to get us closer to ideal body weight, but just with a better BMI. He's already extremely healthy, and I think he's already in a really good spot to work with. I do want to point that out. Supplements he's taking right now is taking Alani Nu pre-workout, taking a whey protein, and then creatine, and then some aminos. He has 2 dogs, and I think the dogs are going to be a key part of the exercise programming. It's a super fun part about it. Dogs are like my most important. Funny enough, I'm just kidding. But it's going to be a huge help with the active recovery days, even with the solid warm-up before exercise. I think we can implement the dogs perfectly, and I'm excited that he does have the dogs. The pups should be a key priority for him. Next thing is he's a recreational baseball player currently, but he's an Oklahoma State grad and an ex-collegiate athlete. He's been playing baseball for 19 years. It's a huge theme of this case study and plays the biggest chunk for his lifestyle and his hobbies. He does have a full-time job as a financial analyst as well, so he's a good job at playing with when he has free time, when he can implement his meals, and it's already been shown in his sample meal plan and exercise routine that he currently works with. Huge help is that he works from home. He's an online work. And another important information about the online homework is he's in a 1-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor. So that's going to play a pretty big theme whenever we're talking about the dogs. You have to bring them out several times a day. But the walks and the taking the dogs out is not going to be a part of the cardio specifically. That's just going to be a part of his daily routine. So after the financial analyst job and a little bit of a stressful job that he has, we'll be talking about some of the food no's for him and the allergies. Allergies are going to be eggs and tree nuts. And then the food no's for him are Brussels sprouts, mushrooms, olives. Those are fantastic that those are his food no's. I think I understand that those are his food no's. Those would be my food no's as well. So that was super easy for me to work around for that. I like to say food no's just because it makes it a little more fun for him. It's like, I am not touching that. Please let me do anything else. And he made it easy on me on those being his simple workarounds. I think really the only thing it affects is breakfast in terms of eggs. And then also the theme of his diet plan, I'm kind of focusing on a Mediterranean diet. There's a bunch of really cool proposed benefits, especially regarding cardiovascular health, and I'll explain that a little more in depth in the next slide. But the only thing that would play a role in the Mediterranean diet is the tree nuts. There's some nuts that you consume in the Mediterranean diet, so we'll just make sure we stray away from that. And then next thing is the intermittent fast. So he follows fasting, and I think that's super helpful and effective for building an effective dietary plan, especially with a bunch of additional proposed benefits. Intermittent fasting has been shown to improve metabolism. It's been shown to do a bunch of fantastic things, and then also kind of set you on a better schedule, so it's going to be helpful whenever we're setting up a diet plan. I will say with the intermittent fast, it's good to be more lenient. I don't think that you need to be strict on 8 hours. We are planning to be playing with a 16 to 8 ratio, but I think making something super strict like an intermittent fast and setting hard guidelines might be a little too much for someone that's a recreational athlete just looking for proposed health benefits. So do want to put that in there. Next thing we're going to be talking about is some goals for our athlete. I asked a bunch of really cool questions to him, trying to learn more about him. But following those questions, we can determine some key goals. I think the first one is going to be gaining some lean body mass, so that skeletal muscle mass increase, and then losing that fat mass. So first, it's pretty obvious that he's super active. And health is key focus for him. We're looking at his dietary plan, you can tell, and then just his life. He only takes one recovery day a week and works out 6 times a week. So it's important to keep that in mind. I think if we can mark in some consistency into his diet and then also add some like satiating foods, especially with some whole foods, I think that'll play a key role for that. So I also asked some questions tailoring to his goals. So like, what are your current performance and physique goals? I think that is super important. I think knowing what he's aiming for, why he's looking to start in a better diet, why he's better, looking to control his exercise, and then also like kind of what does he see or how does he see himself effectively fueling himself. I think that is super valuable. I think that he already is effectively fueling himself to an extent. I think that we can optimize that with a bunch of different little tweaks in his current diet, but I think that it'd be super interesting to know how he feels energized-wise. Energy levels can play a huge role. I looked at his macros, and it kind of looked like his consistent run across the board, about 30%-ish for carbohydrates, proteins, fats. So I want to know his energy level. I want to know how he feels when he gets off of work, when he goes to perform the exercise, when he finishes exercise. There's times that people will finish exercise and they still feel well energized. Obviously, your muscles are fatigued, but you still have the energy high. But some people finish exercise and they have to go lay down and take a nap. So I really want to know how he's feeling after he post-exercise and then also just throughout the day. Also regarding energy level and recovery, his current weight loss goals, and I want to know how he's been feeling like he's achieving them on his own. And perception of any struggles that he's feeling, struggles in terms of, the way he feels he looks, the way that he feels like he's, run into a plateau. If there's anything that he notices, like trend-wise, I would love to know. And also help formulate a plan better to help him reach his destination. I think those are all crucial things that we need to know about our athlete to be able to help him get to his goal. So next to be moving over into something that I think is one of the most crucial parts of the entire plan. So the key part of this entire plan, in my personal opinion, and the key considerations that we'll need to look into for our athlete, I'll talk about some more considerations later, but some key things first is going to be the family history of heart disease. I think that plays the biggest role in the way I wrote his diet plan as well as his exercise. It showed that he had a family history of high blood pressure. His dad had triple bypass surgery. I know that people that have family history of heart disease, it can play a critical role in how you live for the remainder of your lifestyle. It's very eye-opening. It's very scary for some people to know that that's a path that you could be led down through unhealthy lifestyle. There's oodles of literature that show that unhealthy lifestyles can lead directly towards heart disease, and that can be in terms of poor dietary habits as well as limited exercise. I know as of right now he has pretty quality exercise, and I think that we can optimize the diet to make it where we can mitigate a bunch of those risks. It's a high amount of literature showing that proposed benefits to like a Mediterranean diet, like I was speaking about, can lead to significantly healthy heart and increased quality of life later on. Another thing that play a big role is stressful job. I currently work in a stress-related research, and stress can play a huge role on diet as well as health. It's your ability to get out of bed in the day, your mental health, being able to even tell yourself you want to go to the gym. And he said that he had a stressful job. It's the reason he ate a Snickers shake at about midnight one night just because he had a stressful day. He's like, I need to go eat a snack. So being able to play around with that, I think, will be a huge role in how he's going to be able to be consistent as well as patient. I think that keeping his mental health high and working with the stress of his job, giving him things that still are satiating and bring him joy at the end of his day so that he doesn't want to cheat on his meals, and kind of gives him also energy for the day. I know that food can increase dopamine rushes and cause you to have better days, really just better overall mood. Rolling over into the baseball, it's like I told you, that will be the theme. That is our athlete. That's what he does. That's his lifestyle. But he does have a history of injuries, so I think that'll play a crucial role in how we're going to be prescribing exercise. But also he still plays in an adult league, so that's important to remember that he is actively playing baseball, and that is probably a key motivator in his current lifestyle. So playing around with those injuries, finding ways to mitigate the risk of those injuries, I think building up some muscle mass, especially in his upper body around his elbows, his shoulders, will play a huge role. I think that's why we can implement a higher protein source so that we can build muscle a little bit faster, um, and kind of mitigate those injuries so he can pursue that healthy lifestyle and active lifestyle he enjoys. So moving over to his exercise routine. So we're now looking at his exercise routine. Mr. Johnny Jones has made our life awesome. He's already extremely active. It seems that he's very flexible with how he's working with his schedule, and I want to continue working with that. He works out 2 to 3 days a week, is what he said. Has an apartment gym. I think the apartment gym is kind of tricky. You never know what comes along with the apartment gym. You don't know what access to equipment he has, but that could play a role in how we're working with him. What's in there? If it's just cardio equipment, if he has just up to 30-pound dumbbells, some apartment gyms can be fully loaded. So you really don't know what he can get into, but I know that he can get into some kind of hypertrophy exercise, which is awesome. He does about 1 to 2 days per week in bullpen, which is practicing in the cage. So either throwing, batting, just getting better at his craft, and then 1 day a week for his practice/games. It was determined that he has a game day on Saturdays. Sometimes they don't have game days on Saturdays, and they have a practice instead, is what I picked up from that. And then also he has a set recovery day per week, but he does not have any of it laid out in specific days. So I think that we can implement some consistency to help him also follow that meal plan better. I think the consistency in his exercise is going to help him follow the meal plan a lot more strictly, not strict in terms of I need him to follow the foods, but also strict in terms of he's able to know what's coming the next day and how he can prepare, whether that be going to the grocery store or meal prepping his foods. And I think all that's super important, especially for someone that's working a full-time job as well. So now we're looking at 24-hour recall, and then something I want to implement for this is some keeps and some kicks. I think that's going to be a fun way for him to see the positive in what he's doing really, really well. I think it's important to tell people what they're doing really well, and he does a lot of things great, as well as some things that he can work on. I don't think there's anything he's doing poorly, and I think that's important to stress is there's always things you can work on, but there's nothing that you're doing in your life that is just absolutely ridiculous. So there's always reasons behind, especially with someone's diet. So the things that are keeps for me are going to be the water consumption, the healthy whole food diets, and the fact that he likes to cook. So starting off with drinking the gallon of water a day is what I really want to focus on here. He consumes creatine, and it's crucial with creatine that you need to consume an abundance of water. Also the fact that you want to be properly hydrated throughout the day, that's going to also influence your energy levels. The fact that he's drinking a gallon of water a day, that leans close to like 4 liters of water a day. That is optimal for a recreational sports lifestyle. I think that if he's already comfortable consuming this much water, I think it's super beneficial for me for giving him the plan. He said he filled up his hydro flask a couple times a day, and it was a large hydro flask, and that's how he was consuming his water. So I'm assuming he's comfortable just drinking water as he goes throughout the day. So I think that's a huge keep, and I'm very happy that's what he's doing. Next thing is the healthy whole foods, the clean diet, and the fact that he likes to cook. I think that is something awesome. It's also one of the questions that I wanted to ask him is, what's some things that he thoroughly enjoys cooking or what he's good at cooking? I think that's important when you're setting a meal plan to give things that people are already comfortable cooking. You don't want to give someone like a rack of ribs or a lamb chop if they've never cooked something like that before. It's going to come out in a way that they probably aren't going to appreciate. They're not going to want to eat it. They're not going to want to follow the plan. So I think that's important to know that he already cooks healthy whole foods. Looking at his recall, he cooked a lot of whole foods, whether that be having like a main meat source. He has vegetables that follow along with it, and then some like little side snacks that go with each meal, even if that's just a chip or a yogurt or something that goes along with it. He's very good at setting aside well-balanced meals overall, but there's just better ways that we can optimize those macros in there and then still give him those foods that he likes. And another thing I wanted to ask is kind of, what's a home-cooked meal that his mom or pop made or something he grew up eating that like it really brings him joy? I think if there's a way to implement that into our plan, I think that's a great way to keep him motivated, looking forward to that meal. Even when he gets to that meal, if it has the correct macros, being able to eat it and finish the whole meal. Some people aren't able to finish their meals every time, so I think if we can implement something like that, it'd be huge. Finally is the protein shake. I'm going to touch a lot more on that when we get to my meal plan, but I think that is awesome that he takes the protein shake. It's going to play a huge role in how I'm developing his meal plan, and protein shakes are an easy way to consume those liquid calories. But again, we'll talk about that later. And then some of the kicks. I think the main one is the Sonic Snickers Blast. He ate that at about midnight on his food recall, and I think that it's not bad to have a snack here and there, but the Sonic Snickers Blast specifically killed his macros the entire day. It ruined the good eating he had done, or at least the positive whole food eating he's done throughout the day. Went to sleep, killing his metabolism with that Sonic Snickers Blast. So I think if we can replace that with a protein shake, like I'll show you later, I think that'll be a great way for him to fix that. And then also he ate eggs, and I found this hilarious, but he's allergic to eggs, so that's an obvious kick for me. Let's not eat eggs if you're allergic to eggs. So maybe it was a typo somewhere, but I found it quite funny. So I'm moving over into my nutrition recommendations. So I carefully crafted some nutrition recommendations for Johnny Jones, and this is going to be specifically for a exercise day. It helps that he's highly active. You look at his ideal body weight, looking around the 200s. The caloric range is going to come out from about 3,000 to 3,700, and so for this specific day, I wanted it to be on the higher end, around 3,600, and I think that's actually a great amount of food for someone that's as active as Mr. Jones. I think that's going to give him the fuel sources he wants. He's going to be able to eat in abundance, and from looking at his diet plan, it seems like he didn't stop looking for food, so I think hitting that calorie goal is going to be ideal and also possible. Sometimes you set these goals for athletes that have never eaten more than 2,200 calories a day, and now you're telling them to eat 3,600. It's not going to be possible. So the fact that he's already pushing that calorie goal, if we can optimize it and make it a little healthier, I think it's going to be fantastic. I set a 50-30-20 for him, so a little bit higher carbs, but not endurance athlete level carbs. I still think it's going to be sufficient for him to be active throughout the day, but my main focus right now is that 30 grams of protein. I think that's going to allow us to improve his skeletal muscle mass and also increase that protein synthesis we were talking about, to adequately build some muscle mass, to increase that body weight, to get closer to an ideal body weight, but also decreasing that fat percentage to get closer to a better BMI, and one that he'd probably be happier with the physique that he'll end up coming out with at the end. So the higher carb, higher protein, and then still an optimal amount of adequate amount of fats. So still hitting that 20% or close to 80 grams in this case, I think will be quality for him. And then the intermittent fast, I think that's still a nutrition recommendation. I think that if he can stick within that range and have effective nutrient timing, getting those nutrients in, maybe having the fasted exercise. I played an interesting exercise recommendation, but I think it's up to his discretion. But eating before and getting some fuel in him before he goes and exercises in the middle of the day, or he can go and have fasted cardio, fasted exercise, and then go get a really good meal after that. So I wanted to leave that up, and then continue to drink that 1 gallon of water. I think that is crucial for our athlete. And then also considering exercise day, I want to touch one more time that we have that higher calorie range, and then making sure that he knows that it's more fluctuant. I don't need to see him hit exactly 455 grams or 270 grams of protein, but getting close to those goals with leeway. Awesome. So now we're going to be moving into the actual sample meal plan. So again, I wanted to stick very loosely to a Mediterranean diet. I think that there's so many awesome proposed benefits from literature, but that's going to be sticking with fish, chicken, turkey, some olive oils, and then some snacks that you throw in there, and then some veggies. He already eats very similar to this, so I know for some people this might not be achievable, but for him, the way he eats, the way he enjoys to cook, I think you can meal prep all of these meals that I put down for him and have healthy meals with well-balanced diets. Hitting those macros overall, you can tell the meals are relatively the same all the way throughout the day. He's getting 4 very quality meals. But when you get to that last meal, something I wanted to add is that protein shake. I think that liquid calories are a great way for people to consume those final macros and those final calories of the day. Because some days you get to that last meal and you just aren't hungry. Maybe it had been a stressful day and your appetite's been suppressed. But this liquid calorie meal at the end of the day not only is giving you that high protein snack before you're going to sleep, which has been shown to improve skeletal muscle mass and propose recovery while you're sleeping and improve metabolism, but I think that that's going to be an easy way for him to consume one last meal, as well as something that I was talking about earlier. He's getting that satiating, tasty snack before he's going to bed. So instead of going and drinking that, shake that he went and got from Sonic and spending all that money, he'll have all the ingredients and have a satiating, quality food as a last meal to consume before bed. But yeah, there's also some things that I threw in there from my last presentation. I presented on nitric oxide, and nitric oxide actually shows quite promising heart health benefits. So some proposed benefits for heart health and it's also better consumed through dietary sources. So not taking a supplement specifically, but more eating it as a part of your day. So having it as foods during your meals, and it was so easy to add into a Mediterranean diet. So we have some dark leafy greens in there, and some just overall healthy greens for him to consume, and then some chia seeds, oats. But it's probably the best way for him to consume, and also an adequate amount of them throughout the day without having to take some kind of supplement that might affect the way he's feeling in any type of way. And then you can also see, like I said earlier, it's very loosely structured in the terms of timing. I think that being too strict on that is going to make someone that has a busy schedule like his impossible to follow. So it's going to be kind of trying to eat your first meal around 11 a.m. It's like a lunch source of sorts. You know, he wakes up early in the morning, he does all these things over the day. He's going to get to lunch and be excited to eat lunch about 11 a.m. The next meal determining on if he wants to work out that day from 1 to 2. He's able to work out in between that meal 1 and meal 2 if he'd like, or work out and go fasted before his meal 1. So that's why I kind of have the timing set up like that, but I think this will be the most optimal timing. And then that last shake, I think if he can eat it before 8 p.m., he'll still be able to get those metabolism benefits from not eating way too close to bed, but also getting that protein source in before you're going to sleep. So I think that this is going to be a very well-structured diet for our athletes specifically, especially with how busy his schedule is. Awesome. Now I'm very much looking forward to talk about the exercise recommendations as well. It's something that I've been a lot more specialized than nutrition recommendations, but I still was very excited with the way that those came out. To start, I actually was very excited about the consistency but flexibility this schedule allows. You can start with the morning. You can see something that will happen every single morning and will be consistent to help him start his day the same. It's going to be walking the dog. It's not something that's going to take too much energy out of him, but he's still going to be performing some kind of blood flow, active warm-up, way to get his heart going in the morning, and just kind of wake him up as well. But walking the dog is also crucial because the dog needs to go on a walk anyways. You're kind of knocking two birds with one stone. I want this also to be a 1 to 3 mile walk, though. I don't want this to be walking the dog down the flight of stairs to go potty. I really want this to be walk the dog downstairs to go potty. Now take the dogs and yourself for a walk. Hopefully there's nature trails. He lives in Dallas, so I don't know if he lives in suburbs, middle city, but I'm sure there's something around there that would be fun for him to go for a walk. But I want that to be something he implements every day. Maybe he can choose a new route every week, but something that's going to keep him waking up in the morning and getting ready for the day. Moving over is I have him exercising for sure on Tuesday and Wednesdays. The reason I have this is because I want the consistency on those days for his exercise. I think it plays the best role in his Mondays because he's going to be having a bullpen day, immediately going into a weightlifting, and that can be an upper or a lower. Say that week that he knows he's going to have a little more freedom, he's then able to do a push, pull, and legs, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday exercise, and so that's going to be my fluctuation for weightlifting specifically. In terms of the bullpen batting practice that he's going to be doing, I think that the best day for him to do that is on Monday for his guaranteed bullpen. I think Sunday I have set as an active recovery or rest day, and that's going to be his guaranteed day where he just gets to relax, no weight bearing, like lifting, anything heavy, anything that's going to be too straining like a batting practice or a hypertrophy. So following that Sunday, he gets his rest, he gets to come in and kind of see what he needs to work on after his game day as well. Saturday is his game day, and I guess that would probably be a better way to structure this off of. So on Saturday, plays his game. On Sunday, he has his rest. Monday, when you wake up and you start your first day, you get to see how you're feeling. You get to see what happened on game day, what you want to work on, what you think needs the most work, and that's going to be a day that he can put the most work into practicing his craft. Then Tuesday, Wednesday comes around. Say Tuesday, he's like, I think I have a free week. I can do my push-pull legs. If not, he's like, hey, I'm kind of not feeling it this week. Let me just go ahead and do my upper today. I can go knock out my lower tomorrow. And it's saving his time on Thursday to kind of have that relaxation day, and that can be his second implemented recovery day if he feels like he needs it. And then Friday comes along, and then I also want this to be a day that will play on flexibility. So if he does a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday exercise, I do not want him doing the Friday bullpen. If he does the Tuesday, Wednesday exercise and does not do Thursday, I want him to be doing a bullpen on Friday because I feel like that's going to help him stay active and stay moving, but doing something he's enjoying. So on Fridays when it comes around to it, if he doesn't do his optional weightlifting on Thursday, throw in the bullpen. If not, he's good to take the break. So, like I said, there's still going to be taking those 2 mandatory lifts a week, like he said, the 2 to 3 range, but it's allowing for the third. The 1 to 2, so the mandatory Monday bullpen, but not the mandatory Friday, unless he's wanting. So it's the 1 to 2 for that. And then the Sunday active recovery day, and then game day Saturday. These are all still fitting in the recommendations that he desired, but we're not going to be making it a little more consistent. He'll know what he's getting himself into, and on Sunday we'll see how he feels. I think Sunday will be our regen day as he's recovering, have a discussion, see how he's feeling, and then we'll be able to plan out the rest of the week for that. And then also this schedule is going to allow for us to better plan his meals. Knowing on Sunday what he's going to do for his, because we're having a guaranteed bullpen on Monday, but knowing what he's going to be doing for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those are the days that we are going to be able to see better for his diet plan, especially when we're generating that. And then I also want to touch on the fact that we'll be having him consume that creatine and those aminos and that whey protein every single day. He's already consistently doing that now, and I see no reason to change it. I think the aminos are great for this increasing skeletal muscle mass. I think the creatine's great for increasing skeletal muscle mass, increasing recovery, and the whey protein is, again, great for exactly what we're looking for. It gets those meals in, it gets the food in, hits the macro goals, increases the protein synthesis, and then we're also still improving his overall diet plan. So those are going to be what we're mainly looking at in terms of this exercise recommendation alongside a sample meal plan. Awesome. So finally, talking about some athlete considerations, some special needs. This is going to be tagging along with what we just discussed earlier and just following up with some more things that I think are some special needs that would be helpful for him to do. The first is kind of tying back into that heart health and the conscious foods range of what he's doing. I think that we should refer him to a physician to go get blood work done. I think that would be extremely beneficial. I think that any potential deficiencies that we find, we can then implement into his dietary plan. I think anything like fish oil, we can implement a zinc, a magnesium supplement, but all determining on his deficiencies. I don't think there's a reason to tell someone to go consume any sort of supplement until we know what they actually need, if that makes sense. And also we can see different heart things to see how well his heart health is currently. So we can look at bad cholesterol levels, sodium intake, and all sorts of things like that. So I think a blood panel, just to be able to see if we need to, actually advise some supplements. I think really the only supplement that we could advise that would still be safe for him to consume and not play too much way on either direction on positive or benefit, but still give him some positive health. Heart health specifically is maybe an omega-3 fish oil. Next would be the sports trainer. I think because of the baseball-related injuries he's had, specialized PT to examine any limitations, weak points, and then also probably improve his workout plans. I think that we can see better from someone that specializes in baseball training when he's going to be most optimized in a recreational setting, when he should be doing his bullpens and his batting. It's usually not common for a pitcher to be batting and throwing, but maybe he plays in a certain league that allows for both. So again, that would be up to the specialized trainer to find out all of those things about him. Again, my hard point that I've been hitting this whole time is consistency, but also being patient. A lifestyle change takes time, and making sure he's not too hard on himself and he's being patient with his progress. When you're starting something like a diet, it's for sure a lifestyle change. You can't hop on a diet for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then expect to be good for the rest of your time. So starting off slow, maybe just changing even a meal, the first meal and last meal of the day, and allowing him more free time in the middle, but making sure that he understands that we're working with him and kind of seeing what he needs. And then finally being willing to rest. I implemented those rest days and making sure he's listening to his body, so I'm hoping he gives leeway, and that's something that I think is a super critical consideration considering how active he is. Making sure we implement those rest days when needed would be crucial, and then also working with the diet alongside those rest days would be super beneficial for him. So overall, Mr. John Jones was a fantastic client to work with and gave me so much to work with and really didn't make me take anything away besides just making sure he's not eating eggs because he's allergic to them. So again, I appreciate you guys listening, and then I'll click over to the references here in a second, but that's all for my presentation. Thank you again.